Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Your Only Job. Years ago, I worked at an office supply store. We had idiot manager after idiot manager cycle through and come up with dumb ideas to try to make the store run better, and this is one of those dumb ideas. The idea was that between certain hours, I think 11 AM to 2 PM, we were only allowed to directly help customers. No restocking shelves, no unloading the truck. I was in charge of changing and checking prices, but wasn't allowed during those hours. Any of those tasks can easily be done while still being accessible to customers, but apparently that's not good enough. The rest of the staff decided to sneakily do their work when the manager wasn't looking, otherwise they couldn't get everything done. Luckily, I was able to finish my work outside of these hours, so I decided to follow this ridiculous rule. At first, I stood up front and turned myself into our Walmart-style greeter. But I hated it and didn't really feel that it was following the rule, as customers typically don't like being asked questions the second they walk in the door. Eventually, I find a spot in the back of the store where I can see the front door, and I post myself there. I do absolutely nothing besides standing there and staring at the front door. When a customer comes in, I track them with my eyes, see what aisle they walk down, and go ask if they need help. When I finish helping them, or more often after they say they don't need anything, I walk back to my spot in the back of the store and continue staring at the front door. Sometimes I stand there for less than a minute, but sometimes I just stand there for 15 minutes or more. I do this for 3 hours a day, 4 days of the week that I'm there. For I don't even know how many weeks. One of my favorite memories of this time was a staring contest with my manager. I was in my spot in the back of the store, and he was near the front of the store when he spotted me standing there, not even remotely pretending to work. He stares at me across the store, and I stare right back, hoping he'll confront me. After all, I'm not allowed to do anything besides help customers, and I know I've approached every customer in the store. Unfortunately, he didn't, and I lost the staring contest after a few minutes when a customer came in and I had to go approach them. When I got back to my spot, he had already moved on. Eventually, I quit. I was given my final warning for my attitude. No customer complaints or problems with incorrect prices. I was just rude to the managers. If you don't know, final warning means next time I did something wrong, I would be fired. I realized my managers weren't going to get smarter, and I wasn't going to learn to bite my tongue, so it was best that I move on. Of course, they didn't realize how good at my job I was, and my replacement was terrible, partially because they didn't have me train him before I left. Price tags all over the store were wrong for months. The next story is called Strict Rules. I worked in a very strict healthcare company. Rules have to be so strict regarding privacy, practices, etc. My job wasn't patient-based, more lab work and analysis. This was unpaid by the way, but I still had to sign a contract. I left work early and took extra time during lunch, as I had very little work to do some days, as there were delays in training and a lot of shadowing. They even took months to find me a computer to sit at. One day they called me in as a warning for time management issues. They said very adamantly that lunch was 30 minutes and you can have a 15-minute break before and after. I said I took hour-long lunches instead of my 2 15-minute breaks to be more available to people, but that didn't fly. So I made sure that I'd take my 15-minute breaks 25 minutes before my lunch. Meaning I'd be wandering up the stairs, and by the time I got to my desk, logged back in and checked work, it was time for lunch and I'd be evacuated from the building. I'd also take my 15-minute breaks at peak shadow time if nothing was scheduled. So where normally someone would come up to me and ask if I'd be okay training on the fly, I wouldn't be there. And as it wasn't scheduled, I was doing no wrong as long as I stuck to my 15 minutes. I also made sure to screenshot times I'd logged in and times I'd logged out to show I was complying with the rules. I got called up and told that multiple people tried to find me on many occasions and that I was skiving off work, and I've gotten worse since I last got a warning over my long lunches. I showed her my screenshots and she couldn't say anything, but she was clearly not impressed. I found out one of my office buddies would enter and leave the building more than the 3 times you're supposed to. So I asked, not to report him, just curious. He said he smokes. So I say, surely with the free breaks you have, you're not allowed to go out just to smoke. You should do it within your time. He told me as long as it's not more than 10 minutes and it's not on the grounds, no smoking policy, then it's fine. Oh boy, he just gave me gold. I'm no smoker, but as I know my manager would find any way to clap back, I bought cigarettes. The next day I had pretty much the whole day off through 10 minutes on and off smoke breaks. I'd mostly hold it in my hands, but took pictures for everyone and logged it as smoke breaks on my self-made timesheet. The day after, I got called in, saying I'm at this point disrespectful. I showed her all my evidence. I said if smokers are allowed out whenever, I guess I've taken up smoking. She had to get her manager involved, and he asked where this has stemmed from, as I've been a nuisance recently. I told him that my time management didn't fall in line with the contract, and now it does. I told him honestly that I work hard and actually take less time during lunch than I would if I took my 2 breaks. And also that if I was done with work and there was no more and I'm not getting paid for it, then I should be allowed to leave 15 minutes or so early to catch buses, etc. He said there's not much he can do, so I said there's not much I can do. I made sure I wasn't wasting co-workers' time anymore and got on with my job. But during stretches of no work or just periods where I wanted a timeout, I walked out, cigarette in hand, ready to waste my day. I won't be working there again. The last story is called Meet the Crowder. Once upon a time, in order to make ends meet during uni, I took a job working at a bridal shop. This shop involved mostly walk-ins who would buy dresses directly off the rack. If you're from the States, you probably know the one I'm talking about. When I took the job, it was explained to me that the majority of my salary was commission-based. That didn't bother me, because even the base pay was decent at the time. Besides, the lowest financial band to qualify for commission required me to sell 10 dresses a week. Easy. During my initial interview, I explained to my manager that I would need to get off work at 3 PM on Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays to attend all my classes. Now, if you've ever worked a retail job at all, you know that the daytime hours, Monday through Thursday, as well as those evening hours, tend to be very low volume. The majority of all sales are made Friday through Sunday, with the casual shoppers coming in on Saturday and the serious shoppers coming in on Sunday. Therefore, my manager had no problem with my needing those nights off every week. My schedule was set as Wednesday, Thursday and Friday during the day, as well as all day Saturday and Sunday. However, within 2 weeks of being there, it became apparent that one of the older women I worked with did have a problem with my schedule. She disliked working the weekday evening and days, because those hours didn't typically result in sales. Instead, most of our time was spent cleaning and restocking inventory. At first, it started as a few nasty comments here and there on the floor. Then she started borrowing items from my bridal drawer. Belly bumps, pins, hair ties, tissues, cough drops. Eventually, she started telling the hostess to remove my name from the incoming bride inventory, claiming I was busy with another client when I was not. The final straw came when she had to work one of my daytime shifts. I was studying for an exam, and one of my high-dollar brides came in. Instead of ringing the sale through with my name as the consultant, as per policy, she removed my name and put her name as the consultant instead. That one sale was over $200 in commission. I was livid. Of course, I brought it up to my manager, and that did not go as planned. Because the other consultant had more seniority than I did, my manager flipped the tables on me. She claimed that maybe if I pulled my weight and pushed through more in sales, I wouldn't be in this position. Apparently, my refusal to take evening shifts during the week was upsetting the other consultants because they had to work those low volume hours. The manager started badgering me that I needed to find a way to pull in more business for the bridal shop and close more sales, or she would demote me to a stockroom employee. Now, I knew from previous interactions in the shop that both my manager and this consultant took moral issues with anyone associated with LGBTQ+. For instance, we had a lesbian couple come in once looking for 2 wedding gowns, and the manager made them so uncomfortable with her religious talk that both brides left. Another time, the consultant refused to dress a male in a prom gown because it was an atrocity and disgusted her. I, however, didn't care what you were doing with your merchandise after you purchased it, and I had a lot of friends in the community. I immediately called one of my good friends, who was a well-known local drag queen, and asked him if he knew anyone in need of a special occasion gown. I offered special consultations, complete with bra fittings, during the daytime hours I worked. On the first day, 3 drag queens showed up. The next, it was 4. Saturday involved 5 drag queens, 3 lesbian brides, and a few flamboyantly gay men there for support. It may have gotten out of hand on Sunday when a whole van of drag queens drove in from over an hour away, just to see me, and started ruckus with their religious nuts in the store. I had to take half of the salons to dress them, and I made a huge amount in commission that week. The next week, a good number of my clientele continued to come into the shop, always insisting on me and demanding I be listed as their consultant. The manager was ticked and the other consultant was disgusted, but what could they really do? All my manager asked me to do was increase my sales, which I had done in spades. I ultimately left just a few weeks later, which was planned as I had graduated and taken a professorship at a state school some hours away. But I did learn from the assistant manager at the store that my clientele continued to flamboyantly frequent that store for their bridal and formal wear needs. This was until it ultimately closed down 6 months later. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. And I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.